Hello and happy new year, happy 2026. If you haven't been following along, or maybe it's my first one, I haven't actually decided the order I'm going to be uploading these. But this is a little recap of my year of reading. I read 101 books and I decided to do the best, the worst, the most surprising, and the most disappointing. This right now is the most surprising. This is absolutely no order, and I believe I have 11. I might be wrong. Let me double check that. Yes, I do have 11, and I actually own all of these. So first, again, in absolutely no order, is The Crimson Moth. So the reason why this is my favorite loot, and the reason why I actually sold my Owl Crate one. The reason why is because this had gotten so much hype. I really thought, I find that I don't always agree with the general consensus in the book world. And I really thought I was not going to enjoy this book. I thought this was going to evolve into a hate read, and I actually really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed this book. I had a great time. I was entertained. However, I was not invested enough, and I never read book 2. I never bought book 2. I had no intention to. And that is why I sold my Owl Crate version. But this is beautiful, which I believe the Owl Crate is called the Heartless Hunter, something like that. I don't remember. But this is the UK version. This is the Fairy Loot version, and I was very pleasantly surprised it's staying in my library because it was a good time. Next on my list is That Time I Got Drunk and Saved a Demon. I thought this was going to be like a really silly, ridiculous read, and it was. Don't get me wrong, it was definitely ridiculous, but I had an absolutely wonderful time with this. It was great. It had a great story. Yes, obviously it was spicy, but it was not anything crazy. Well, shouldn't yuck other people's yums, but it was good. I thoroughly enjoyed this to the point that, so I borrowed it from the library and Kindle, Libby, to the point that I actually bought all 3 of them, and then also they threw in like the first or one of the ones from her other series, which is like about aliens or something. I don't know. I haven't read them yet. I intend to. I really enjoyed this, and I just realized I haven't described any of them. I'm sure everyone knows what Crimson Moth is about. What this is basically we have a it takes place in like obviously like a fantasy land, and we have the main character. I think her name was Cinnamon. Yeah. So she's her family's in the spice trade, and then she meets a demon, and oh my god, I don't remember everything. I know she ends up having to. Oh, I think he injured himself, so she had to help him or something like that, and she ends up joining them on their quest. That part got a little bit like there's like some quest to save something. Oh, he wants to cleanse evil witch and saving his people. There you go. Again, it's not the most literary things to stay in my mind, but it was very entertaining. I had a wonderful time. Yes, it is a rom-com. Rom-coms are my favorite. It was funny. It was entertaining. I loved it. It was great. Next is my Afterlight version of I Did Something Bad, which is really pretty. And the reason why, so this is, I was just thinking this. Oh, okay, I remember. Okay, so this is Cambodia? I forgot where this is. Myanmar, no. Oh my goodness, hold on. Okay, I double checked. It is Myanmar. So this is surprising because this is a romance, but there's murder. And this is not like Dial A for Auntie's rom-com, absolutely ridiculous shenanigans. Like, it's very high stakes. And I was just like, how? And also, the protagonist has to deal with a lot of things as just being a woman and being in a society, and it's not to say this is just Myanmar society, even here in the United States. There's plenty of women, people, but women also are included as we're like, oh, what was she wearing? So there are, society in general as a collective of all humankind who are, would rather defend men than women. And I was just like, how is this even going to be a romance? How is this going to work? And I was very pleasantly surprised. Is it the best book I've read? No. But I enjoyed it. It was smart. It was great. It took place in Myanmar, which is a place I have not been to. I've been close to the border. I was in North Thailand. And also I was in Cambodia. I've never actually been to Myanmar. And I guess it's kind of like ignorant American here. I'm just like, you know, like it's such a long civil war and they're still currently doing things. I'm like, no, like life still goes on. So that was cool to read. Very important, I feel. All right, next in this is Fate, Inks, and Blood. I'm not gonna lie, I really hate the Fairy Loot edition, and this is before they started doing, oh, this is back when we got that, and before they did the reversible jackets of the original thing. I really don't like this cover. But the reason why is because I have not, because this is Danielle Jensen, right? And she did The Bridge Kingdom. I have not read that. And it's just, I don't think I'm a romantic girl. I'm a fantasy with some romance, but not romance with fantasy. And she was, even though this was in the adult and not in the romantic subscription, but this might be before the romantic subscription, I just didn't think I was gonna like it. Again, this is another one of those, everybody on the internet loves it, I'm probably gonna hate it, and I actually really liked it. But just like with Crimson Moth, I really enjoyed it. I actually did think about it a little bit afterwards, and so this takes place in like Viking times, and we have the main character, I can't remember her name. What is her name? But basically there's like a prophecy, Freya, a prophecy saying that whoever controls her is gonna control the kingdom or something like that. And I don't remember. I truly cannot remember. Just like Viking times, Norse mythology kind of stuff going on. I really enjoyed it. However, I didn't enjoy it to read book 2. So next up was a very complete, so this is probably, if I was doing an order, this would be number 1. If I was doing a countdown, this would be number 1, and it's Revell. And this is my owl crane. This is like before they did all the fancy edges. Just got a fancy cover, and I read this when if you'll watch my other videos, you'll see I went through a circus carnival kind of thing. I'm like, let me read those. No, I did not read Caraval because I don't own it, but I bought the LitJoy version, and it should be coming sometime this year. I think they said March, and I'll finally read it. But anyway, and this is another one of those owl crates that I said this in another video, where YA is vast. There's a lot of age range between a 13 and 18-year-old, and there's a big difference in maturity level. And I tend to characterize YA as like young YA and old YA, and this was like almost adult YA. Like I think this is another one that something happened in here, and I'm like, okay, this feels very adult. But I very much enjoyed this. This is basically like a retelling of, oh my goodness, what was it? I don't remember. It's a famous movie, musical theater, I think. It's also a place in France I went to with the windmill. But it's a retelling of that. I will hopefully write what I mean underneath. I cannot remember. Alright, I'm pretty sure I'm coming down with a sinus infection and my head is hurting me so bad. So it's hard for me to think right now. But it was a retelling of that, and I've never seen it. Cabaret. No, not Cabaret. Maybe Cabaret? I get Cabaret and this other one confused. Moulin Rouge. I don't know if it's Cabaret or Moulin Rouge. One of those two. Whichever one it is. It's basically a retelling of that. I've never seen either. I've been to the Moulin Rouge in Paris. I don't remember. But anyway, so basically it takes place during like Prohibition time on this island off the coast of New York, and it's kind of like they are their own little thing. So we have like, it's made up of like these different magical families. One who they are time, they can control time. However, it has a downside that like however far back in time they went is how much time gets deducted from the end of their life. So it shortens their lifespan. Then we have these other ones who are the Revells, which they kind of, so that family is like in charge. They're usually the mayor. There's also, they're the ones, because again, Prohibition, there's the the alcohol runner. And then we have the Ravel family, who they're the ones that like basically put on the circus performance every night, and it's usually to like for all the tourists that come in, and they, if you give them a jewel, they can like make you feel like all these pleasures and like basically like bring your fantasies to life. And then the other families like the Edwards or the Edward or something like that, they are mental, they can read your thoughts. And then the last family, I forgot what they are. They're a little bit more tucked away, and just, I can't remember this. I even when I was reading the book, I would forget their name. And they're basically the healers. The healers, what they basically do is they take your pain and they put it onto somebody else, but you have to consent to it. You both have to consent to it. And so basically we have the main girl who she's trying to like keep her family afloat, and because it's a little like she's hiding a secret that I don't remember if it's in the beginning of the book, so I'm not going to mention it, but she's very powerful. And then she makes friends with these other group of people who one of them is like from her family, and like he left and he's coming back, and I forgot what the girl was. And then there's this guy who he's trying to figure out who his family is, who happened to his parents, and all he has is this picture, and it's a picture of his parents and him as a baby on a beach on this island. So they decide to go to this island to try to figure out what is this story, what happened to his parents. And as they try to dig up those secrets, we find more secrets that are hidden in the island, and they dig up a lot that probably should have been left behind, but it's actually good that we get through this. And yeah, it was a very, I really enjoyed this book. I was very impressed with this. So this is like one of the gems, which of course is funny because they deal with gems, right? So it's one of the gems from Owl Crate, like I was saying. All right, the next one is First Time Caller, which I need to buy the second one. Oh my goodness. The reason why it's on my most surprising list is because I've never read any of B.K. Borson's book. Only after I finished reading this did I realize that the Love Life Farms that everyone's going crazy about is from her. I didn't know this. That's like, I don't know, if a book gets too popular, especially in romance, I try to stay away from it. I love this so much. But basically we have this single mom who her child actually calls in. This takes place in Baltimore. Her child calls in to this radio station late at night, which is supposed to be like the Love Connection or something like that, but it's apparently the DJ, DJ for the Love Connection doesn't believe in love anymore. And you get the gist. It's supposed to be a Sleepless in Seattle remake. I've never actually watched Sleepless in Seattle. My mom did not let me watch a lot of movies growing up. But yeah, the little girl was definitely precocious, and there's no way there's a little girl this precocious. But my goodness, she was just a gem. I loved her. It was great. I loved this, and this is why I went. And I'm so mad that I read this only after Good Spirits went on sale, because it's the same author, and I had to buy a secondhand, the Love Society one, because the Owl Crate and Afterlight are just way too expensive. I'm not spending that much money for a book, even though it's just my Mercari money. And I'm so mad. I could have just bought it firsthand, but I didn't know, and now I know. But yeah, I really loved this. It was really good, and that's what I get for being judgmental. The next one up on this list is The Sirens, and the reason why this is on my most surprising list is because it's the same author as Wayward. And again, as you've heard me say many times, I love me a multi-point of view generational book, especially if it's like a feminist, a woman, like, women's rage book. Give me that. Wayward is that, but I didn't like it. I mean, I didn't dislike it. It was okay. I read The Cloisters at the same time. Phenomenal. I loved it. And honestly, I don't remember anything about Wayward because Cloisters really stood out of my mind. I actually was at the Cloisters like 2 weekends ago, or no, not even 2 weekends ago. It was in between Christmas and New Year. So yeah, I guess 2 weeks ago now. And they actually had a spread of the tarot cards there, and I was just thinking of The Cloisters, which I'm not even talking about this, but that's like how strong that book was in there, and it overpowered Wayward. And I was just like, it was a fine book. Like, I guess she was trying to do, it wasn't the best. So I did not have much hope when this came out. I I really enjoyed this. There were some twists and turns that I was hoping wasn't going to go there, and it did. Not because of bad, like, I mean, I guess it is bad things, but just because it's dark. That epilogue was just like, it was very, this is a very haunting book. This is very aquatic themed. This does not live in my bathroom, which, as you haven't seen my other videos, I said that I kept some books that I would probably sell, but because they have an aquatic theme, they stay in my bathroom, far away from any water source, and I have a great fan that my mirror doesn't even fog up when I shower in there. This stays in my library in my female rage shelf. I really enjoyed it. So basically we have, it is also a multi-generational, and we have present day where we have this girl. So this takes place in Australia, and this girl who, she's been having these nightmares that she's choking these nightmares of these twins and drowning, and then she just she's allergic to water, which I didn't know was a thing, and it is a thing. And so she doesn't have good self-esteem because of all the scars she has from that. And she had a boyfriend for a hot second, and then he broke up with her and leaked videos of her naked. And because his father is a lawyer, the college didn't want to do anything. And then it starts off with her choking him in her sleep. And she freaks out because she's like, oh my God, like, I'm gonna get like expelled from the school, and you know, I don't, like, they didn't even want to do anything about that. And then, like, you know, she's just like, I'm screwed. So she freaks out, and she had comfort with her older sister, who we also go on her timeline. Her older sister's an artist, and her older sister moved out like across the country or something. I don't remember. This is Australia, which Australia is as big as the United States, by the way. It's just nowhere near as populated. And so she drives over to her sister's house. She finds her sister's house, where her sister's house is empty, which is crazy because her sister was apparently about to go on to have a really big gallery debut, and she sees the painting that her sister was working. She's like, what the hell? That is literally what I've been dreaming of. And then we go further back in time, and there were these, so you know, Australia, I think, yeah, you know, Australia is known as a penal colony because they sent the UK sent their convicts there, and one of them was a boat full, and there was these women who, it was just like very stupid. Like, I think this one was like two sisters where like some guy was like a British guy, because they were Irish, and this British guy was gonna assault them or something like that. So they accidentally killed him, and because, even though they accidentally killed him, it's not their fault, it was self-defense, they got sent to Australia, and it tells their voyage up there. And but also there's more to it, and it was just, this was actually very well done. It was very dark, however, I really liked this. It was very dark. It's a very heavy read though. And I was not as impressed with Wayward. That was much better. On a lighter note, we have A Curious Kind of Magic. I did not think I was like, this is my first Maria. No, it's not my first Mara Rutherford. I think I read another one by her. No, I haven't. I take that back. I heard a lot of bad things about this, so I just assumed it was gonna be horrible. So what we have here is we have the main character who, her father owned this store that was like magical curiosities, magical curios, but really it's just, he's just a con man and nothing was magical there, or so she thought, till one day this woman walks in, and the jackalope, I forgot, it has a name, I can't remember what it's actually called, and the story comes to life and said, be wary of the woman in the scarlet coat or the burgundy cloak, whatever it was. And she's like, what? And so obviously there's a secret to this woman, and she's trying, her father, as much as she loved her father left her in a lot of debt, and she's trying to pay off the debt so she doesn't lose the store. And yeah, they go on an adventure. I'm not gonna lie, this is very YA. It's a YA book. Why am I criticizing it for being what it is? It had a lot of angst, and there's like parts that I would just skim because I'm like, all right, like, enough of this pining and this angstiness. Let's actually do something about it, which is hilarious that I say this because how much do I get done? Hypocritical much. But taking those parts out, which I feel like I've outgrown, but I'm sure for a teen who this is meant for, I'm sure they would enjoy it. I actually did enjoy liking this. It's not on my favorite shelf. I keep it on my YA shelf over here. But actually, this was a pleasant surprise, and it's not bad. What was a very big surprise was The Night and the Moth. It's my Beautiful Fairy Light Loot edition, which I am keeping. It's not on my favorite shelf. It is on just my fantasy shelf, because I read, this is by Rachel Galing, and I read her One Dark Window, and I hated it. I hated it. I was reading it for a book club, and I stuck with it. I wanted to DNF it. I hated it so much, and I'm just like, I'm probably gonna end up hate reading this. I love this. Also, what the heck's his name? Oh my goodness, we have the gargoyle who only calls everybody the same name, and I forgot what it is, and it's really annoying because it was just really funny. It was great. I love that gargoyle. Best part of this book. However, just like the other ones I was saying, even though it had me in a chokehold, like I was just like, whoa, there was just something to the ending that I'm just like, I'm good. I don't need to read book 2. I might just buy it and maybe I'll read it, and if I don't like it, I'll sell it. But this was actually really good. I loved it. So what we have is the maidens. I forgot what they're called. Diviners? No, oh my goodness. Yeah, it's a diviner. So we have like 10 diviners. They come as young girls, and they basically have to drown. And when they drown, they are able, there's like the gods in this world, or like one has a coin, one has an oar, another has an ink thing. I can't remember. Oh, there's a thingy here at the end. Yeah, we have coin, inkwell, or chime, and the loomstone. Oh, and then the moth is like something else, I forgot. And then depending on however it came out, the abbess interprets it, and like, yeah, so they like pay her money, and they basically go through agony to like give these divinations. The world building, I'm not gonna lie, is a little bit loose, and like the king comes and asks her, and like you find out there's political intrigue, and there's something that happened to his grandfather, or his grandfather started some shit. And yeah, and I don't want to speak more because it's gonna give it away, and it hits you emotionally. But I really enjoyed this. It was good. The next one, which is The Summer Queen, which is kind of funny that's on here because I absolutely adore it, and the first book is actually on my favorite shelf. I read this so quick. It was really good. I had some qualms with it, but this is book 2 in a trilogy, and normally the reason why it's on my surprise list is because normally trilogies, the second book is normally a weak book, and this actually, I feel like it held itself on its own, and it was its own story. It built off the first, made its own story, and opened a way for the third book. And usually that's hard to find in trilogies. Normally a lot of are like, we start the thing, we end the thing, and we got some filler. And this did not feel like that at all. I have my qualms with it. It is a YA book, but it was still, I feel like I was very pleasantly surprised in that it was pretty good. So what was the first one? The Bird and the Bound, I think. So we have this world, and we have the main character, I forgot her name, Aziza, who she's a hedge witch, and unfortunately her parents died, so nobody was able to teach her proper witchcraft because she lives with her grandfather, who is a little bit overprotective, but it makes sense because of how her parents died, and his witchcraft is in protection, so he can't teach her because he doesn't know her magic. So she just goes around and she befriends all the magical creatures, and she kind of like brings them back to Elfham, and then she makes friends with, I always get their names, there's Leo and Tristan, and one of them, his family is cursed, and you find, I don't want to say more because it gives away book 1, but the family's cursed. The mother can't talk because every time she tries to talk, a frog comes out. Their father is haunted by a poltergeist, and he is cursed to not know who his true love is. And then we have the other one who his family basically throws him out because he's gay, and so he becomes homeless. And I don't want to go into it more because it gives away the first book. Oh my goodness. But oh, okay, I really can't speak more. But anyway, this book, they actually go into Eltham. There is trials, there is backstabbing, and it is so good. It's not the best, but it's pretty. It's a good one. And now, last but not least, or so that even makes sense of this, our final one is Any Troop But You, which is such, look at this. This is such a wintry Christmas book. Why did Afterlife send this to me in the middle of summer? Like, what? So the reason why it's on my surprising list is because I heard multiple booktubers just absolutely hate on this book. And one of them actually went on a whole rant about moose and how it's unrealistic and etc., that there was one scene with the moose, and that was it. I expected this book to be like 30% moose by the way that she went, which is not a criticism on her. Like, I have plenty of my own rants that many of them are just like, what is she going on about? So I totally get it. If like something affects you, it affects you. I actually really was pleasantly surprised. I actually really enjoyed this. Was it the best? No, but I liked it. So basically, this was basically like a love story to romance, very much. So in it, we had the main character who was a romance writer. However, her younger sister got diagnosed with some chronic illness. It's never actually told what, and it caused a very big strain in the family. So their father, who was an artist, basically put art in front of family and left them. And it, like, their mom did everything they could, but it was a lot on her. And then she was engaged with this guy who you're told later on what happened, but she's no longer engaged and she's not married. And so she kind of stopped believing in love. And it's crazy because she's a romance writer. And what gave her catharsis was at the end of, and like her books are like, she's a best-selling, huge amount of fans. Some of her books have become movies. And what has been her catharsis is she would write a happily never after document. And she would like say they got divorced or they had unhappy marriage and he got fat or something, and that's her catharsis. And then what ends up happening is it got leaked. Her fans were just like appalled. She got dropped from her publisher, and I will admit it was a bit contrived because all that stuff, which I mean, I also get that sometimes people can get a bit crazy and can get a bit, I have the word, I can't remember, but they can get a bit much with this stuff. And this was a bit much. And also, you never find out like what was about that leak. Like, it was very contrived. So that kind of also bothered me. But she feels like she also has obligations to her sister because her sister lives with her, and she feels being a romance writer is the best because she gives her the opportunity to be around to help her sister when her sister has flare-ups and needs her more. And then hiding from the world, because her next romance book was supposed to be set in Alaska. Her sister sent her to Alaska anyway to like, not a resort, but like this wilderness retreat, basically, where we got this guy who was working as MD PhD in California, in LA, where she is, where she's from originally. But his mom passed away, unfortunately, and they never told him. They were like, oh, she's okay, don't worry. And she died of breast cancer. And so he feels the guilt of not being there for his mom, even though his mom purposely didn't want him there because she wanted him to live his dream, to live his full potential. Unfortunately, because the wilderness retreat places his family's. Unfortunately, his father, leading a hiking trail on like some glacier ravine, fell and needs serious rehabilitation. So he is awarded a grant where he hasn't declined it yet, but he hasn't accepted it because he flies back to Alaska to be there. And that's the other thing that kind of was like, it's like, yeah, you could be a MD, but you're not a physical therapist. But anyway, so there were a little snippet, like little things you can pick out, but it was pretty good. And obviously, stuff happens between them. It's a romance. We know the story. I ended up enjoying it. Again, there were some things that were annoying, but very easy to look over in my opinion. Obviously, not in others. But yeah, I expected the way people describe this, I really thought I was gonna read this, be like, this is stupid, and go off and sell this. And now it has become part of my Christmas decor. Because I really do, I did enjoy this a lot. It was a nice read. I even recommend to one of my friends because it has a nice slow burn too. But yeah, that is my most surprising reads of the year, because I just didn't expect, like, they were not my best of. And honestly, I don't think, well, Revell actually could have been put on my best of books of the year. That definitely could have gone on there, but I don't want to repeat books in multiple categories, and it really was a big surprise, which is why I put it here. But that one 100% could have been in best books of the year. Otherwise, everything else was just a very nice surprise. And they were still really good books, so they were all pleasant surprises. So that's it for me. I have one last video to film, although I think this might be the first one, so you're gonna have 3 more to watch. I don't know why I made like, oh, whatever this is. But yeah, let me know below if you had any surprising reads. And this is good surprising, because I'm making one that's gonna be disappointing, which is I expected to love it and I ended up not loving it. These are ones that I either didn't see me liking or I thought I was gonna hate. So let me know if you also had any pleasant surprises reading. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.